What are some of your personal rules that you never break? Never do two illegal things at once. Like my father always said, never deal drugs in a car with a broken taillight. If you make a promise to someone, make sure it's one you can keep. If it's something that might not happen, I'll say, I will do my best on this, but I can't promise anything. I try very hard to keep my word good. I work in evictions. Never open the fridge. Just bungee it closed and get it out of there. A bad fridge can close work sites. When my mom passed away, I had to come back to the house and start clearing it out. This was about 2 months later. Opening that fridge has to be in my top 5 worst experiences of my life. I remember that smell to this day, and it still makes me sick. Never make fun of somebody's weird laugh, as it could be the only time somebody is truly happy, and to take that away from somebody else is just unnecessary. When there is a wreck or some other type of disturbance on the road that is causing traffic, I refuse to look at it. After being in an hour-long traffic jam that was caused because drivers were slowing down to look at a wreck on the opposite span of a bridge, I promised myself I would never be a contributor to such an infuriating occurrence. I know that it has no effect on traffic whatsoever, but at least I did my part. I never buy cheap alternatives for things that I know I'm going to use often. Every time I've done this, I end up getting more annoyed each time I use it. My rule is the opposite. I always buy the cheap thing first. If it works well, then I've saved money. If not, then next time I upgrade to a slightly more expensive one. It's surprising how often the budget products perform as good or better than the luxury ones. Except tools. If the cheap tool could ruin something I've worked on, then it's not worth the saving. I clean up after myself. That means taking trash from the table to the bin, and taking my carts back even if it's pouring down rain. I don't leave messes or things for someone else if I know it would piss me off or make more work for the employees. I don't reach out and pet a dog I don't know. I'll squat down and let it approach me if it wants. Just a little tidbit about petting unknown dogs I learned in an animal science class: let them sniff your hand with your hand in a fist. You're less likely to lose a finger if they do end up being aggressive. And then if they do attack, you can shove your hand to the back of their throat to trigger their gag reflex, and they'll release. I walk into work leaving emotion at the door and walk out of work, leaving work at work. It's easier said than done, but it allows for a great work-life balance. When a friend or family member asks you for your candid opinion or advice, gently tell them what they need to know, not just what they want to hear. The biggest one is, no matter how bad things get, don't cheat on your partner, no matter what. Mine is similar. I refuse to cheat or be the one someone cheats with. I never get angry at accidents or punish people for something they didn't intend to happen. Along the same lines, I don't care whose fault it is, I just want to know what happened and how it's being fixed. I don't litter. I grew up during the Keep America Beautiful campaign. I still pick up litter when I'm at parks, campgrounds, in the wilderness, etc. Always replace the toilet paper if you use the last of it. I have stupid rules that don't significantly impact my life in any meaningful way. 1. I can drink water anytime, but I can't drink juice or soda without also eating. 2. I take 1 bite of each type of food on my plate before beginning the rotation again. I always try and finish the meal with 1 bite of each thing remaining. The only exception to this is when I'm eating fajitas. In that case, I make each tortilla up with the same accounts of each food except for one filled more than the others, which is eaten last, and I call El Grande. That soda rule probably affects your life more than you think. It's a pretty good rule. I live my life by one ultimate rule, as I feel every other rule out there just falls into this. Don't be a piece of shit. Before doing something, ask yourself, if someone else did this, would I think they are being a piece of shit? If yes, don't fucking do it. If someone does something well, I tell them/thank them. People are genuinely surprised when others take the time to give positive feedback. If I'm in a group of 3+ people, I will always talk to everyone. There's usually always one person who is quiet because of some reason, maybe wasn't there for something we talked about or just can't find a way to contribute. I know that feeling all too well. Just standing there with nothing to say feels awkward and uncomfortable. I don't want anyone to feel like how I used to. I know it doesn't seem like much, but to that one person, it might have made their day feeling included. No texting and driving. If I'm a passenger and you are texting and driving, I will call you out on it. It's one of the very few things in life I will knowingly be an a-hole about. Everybody knows not to do it. There is really no excuse. Whenever I'm waiting in line to buy something at a store or restaurant, I have a personal rule that if the person in front of me can't pay for their groceries for whatever reason, such as card declining, I pay for them. It's not something that comes up too often, but I've been in that situation where the cashier rings up all your stuff, and then my card declined. It was a huge relief and made my day when the guy behind me paid for me. Now I try and pass it on. Taking my trash to the trash bins when I'm done eating in a food court. It blows my mind when people don't do it and try to justify it by saying there are people paid to clean. Well, let's shit on the floor then. If someone does something that really irritates me or rubs me the wrong way, I mention it immediately. It keeps it from festering or growing more irritating over time to a point where it could damage that relationship. Mine is the opposite. If it still bothers me in 3 hours, bring it up calmly. If after 3 hours it doesn't seem like such a big deal, it's not a battle worth fighting. If a friend flakes on a planned meeting more than a couple of times in a row, I'm not going to initiate contact to plan another one until they do. The ball is in their court at that point, if they ever want to hang out. Warning: this rule will result in your circle of friends dropping by at least 90%. Most of the time, I don't see a problem with this. It's actually an effective strategy to thin the herd. Remember where I came from. 33 years ago, I was a college failure with no job, no food, no money, and no future. People helped me who didn't have to. I owe them to help others to pay back what they did for me. If I can help, I have to help. Don't touch someone unless they want to be touched. I don't bring my phone to the dinner table at home. Don't go to the supermarket on an empty stomachy. Never overstay your welcome. Always leave way before your welcome has expired. And if you're a Midwesterner, start the goodbye an hour before you actually want to leave. No matter how badly someone treats me, I always try to treat them with respect and kindness back. It took a long time for me to hone that in from doormat to whatever it is now. I believe I am a kind person at heart, so I try not to lose myself by reacting poorly to rudeness. Also, it really fucking drives people nuts when you don't react like they want you to. Don't make fun of people for things they can't change: appearance, intellectual ability, patterns of speech, etc. When I was a kid, I started to become terrified of time travel stories, so came up with a word that I would never tell anyone unless my out of time self showed up. We would be the only two people who know this word and declare it. I have never told anyone this word. I'm nearly 40. Same rules I raise my sons by. 1. Kindness matters even if no one else will see it. 2. Kindness will not always mean niceness. 3. Kindness starts with yourself. You cannot give what you do not have. What personal rule do you have that you never break? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.